Oh, brother, this team stinks! Okay, all SpongeBob references aside, that was like the first thing that came into my mind when watching the Vancouver Canucks lose to the Washington Capitals 2-1 at home. And, I'm gonna say it, man, that game it's kind of a snooze fest. I'm not gonna lie, I'm sorry, but the Vancouver Canucks just did not look like themselves in this one. Big credit over to the Washington Capitals, of course, for weathering the storm, for doing the thing that everybody in the hockey world wants to see. That was giving Alex Ovechkin a very nice goal on the back door. But when it comes to the result here, the Canucks lose 2-1, and the game was very, very boring. That's really it. I mean, I don't even know how we're going to be able to stretch this video out to whatever minutes the gameplay is going to fill out, because both of these teams, I mean, the Capitals had their opportunities, they capitalized on them. The Canucks had a few chances, especially in the latter half, but they really could have had more if they just shot the puck more. But ultimately, it feels like they were their own worst enemy in this one, as they drop yet another one, this time to Washington. Now, big notes heading into tonight's game. We had ourselves Tyler Myers make himself a return to the Vancouver Canucks lineup, and he replaced Noah Juulsen on that right side. Very interesting how the Canucks had a big point streak going on and a win streak without Tyler Myers, but once Myers returns, it's like, okay, we're going to go back to losing in regulation now against teams that admittedly, the Canucks should not be losing in regulation too, especially while only scoring one goal for in the entire contest, like the Washington Capitals, for example. That's just not really acceptable for what this team has been able to accomplish this season. But going over the events of tonight's action, we had ourselves the Vancouver Canucks pretty much exhibit the same thing that we have been seeing all year. I feel like a broken record saying this every time, and in almost every video now, especially all the post-game videos about the Canucks, but the Canucks got off to a really good start. They got a goal early. It was Quinn Hughes with the long shot, and it was tipped in through the 5-hole of Charlie Lindgren off of the stick of Brock Boeser. So there you go. That's Brock with his 36th goal on the year. Quinn Hughes and Michkov get the assists. And then after it was 1-0 Vancouver, they just kind of took a step back. Same thing happened against the Colorado Avalanche. They were up 2-0 really quickly because JT Miller had a beastly shift, and then they were up 3-0, took the foot off the gas pedal, and then they ended up losing in overtime. In this game against Washington, they didn't even need to go up 2 or 3-0. They just went up 1-0, and then they kind of stopped. After it was 1-0 Vancouver, the next 10 minutes or so of play went by with almost no whistles, and the Canucks had a lot of great takeaways and pressure in that span, but ultimately, the Canucks cannot capitalize, even though there was one opportunity where Charlie Lindgren went way out of his net to try to swat the puck away. He ended up stopping a long-range shot a considerable distance away from the net. In the second period, there was a lot of non-action for a few minutes, but the Capitals eventually tied the game up 6 minutes in after a terrible icing call that was called on the Vancouver Canucks. The puck was dumped into the Capital zone, and chasing after it was Phil DiGiuseppe. He had the inside lane towards the puck. He was clearly going to be the first guy to get there before the Capitals defenseman, but the referees, sorry, they didn't see it that way. They call icing, and on the ensuing play, the Caps win the draw, the puck gets sent out in front, and it's Ivan Miroshnichenko in the crease, making a brilliant backdoor no-look pass to Tom Wilson on the side. That ties the game up 1-1. Canucks fans are furious. Rick Tocchet has to talk to the referees. Hey, what's with that call? It resulted in a goal. And then the Capitals strike just a minute later because, they had some good pressure. They had a lot of passing. Very good offensive zone time, and it's Alex Ovechkin who ends up scoring. The Caps had some brilliant passing work out in front. DeSmith overcommitted to the left side shooter, which eventually resulted in a backdoor pass to Ovi, making it 2-1. Now, you can comment on the way DeSmith handled both of these goals because they both featured similar setups, like the puck is out on the left side or in the middle, and then it goes over onto the back door on the right side. DeSmith overcommits on both of them, and it results in a 2-1 lead for Washington very quickly. Good to see Alex Ovechkin getting yet another goal in this game, but 2-1. That's really it. There isn't any other goals that are scored here, and the rest of the events are just, opportunities and some pressure that goes out here. Phil DiGiuseppe went over to the box for the first penalty in the game. At the halfway mark of the second period, he interfered on Alex Ovechkin, and eventually this is killed off by the Vancouver Canucks. But at the 6:42 mark in this period here, the Canucks ended up going 10 minutes without a shot. Washington had 12 straight shots, and they had themselves the lead in this category 18-8 in the game. The Canucks really just stopped doing the hockey in the second period, and that carried over into the third. Here are the notes that I have for the third period in this Vancouver and Washington game. At 18-14, the Capitals got themselves a penalty. Rasmus Sandin interfered on Elias Pettersson. It was killed, but the Canucks did look pretty alright moving the puck around and not really shooting all too much. And then literally the rest of the darn game, nothing happens. Ovechkin almost scored on the empty net, but the Canucks can't do anything. The period ends, and the Canucks lose 2-1. This was one of those such low-event games that you can't even really begin to try to analyze it. You could just say, yeah, this team did not show up. They didn't really look all too inspired. I mean, you want to talk about a team that's prepping themselves for the postseason? This is it, This is uncharted waters, as Rick Tocchet went out there and said. I'm sorry, man, but you can't be holding your team to this standard. What is it with this Vancouver Canucks squad that they go out, they score a goal or two in the first 5 minutes of the game, and then they stop scoring the rest of the night? It's almost like these opponents have a book on Vancouver that's so specific and particular in being able to shut them down, and the Canucks try to overcompensate for that. They have a lot of offensive pressure in later periods, but they just refuse to shoot the gosh darn puck. I mean, the amount of cycling the Canucks did in the third period, it was impressive. Even in the second period, the amount of chances they got to shoot it, hey, it was good. They were putting themselves in good spots, but they just did not shoot the thing. They didn't want to score. It didn't look like they wanted to score. It looked more so like they wanted their teammates to score. They wanted to make the pass and then have the guy on the side pull the trigger, and not instead have themselves taking it in and shooting and scoring and doing the thing, like you're kind of supposed to. So I don't know what's going on, man. The Vancouver Canucks, is this time to panic or what? Because this game right here, I mean, this might have been the biggest snooze fest that we have seen all year. Oh brother, this team stinks, because against a Washington Capitals team that admittedly they did have a pretty difficult time beating last time they played off against each other. That was the game where JT Miller had the last second goal in overtime because Connor McMichael gave it up. But aside from that, I mean, this is a team that the Canucks should be able to go out there and compete with, but for some reason they just did not decide to do that. They looked inferior. They looked like they were hanging on at some points, and they were just not really pushing it. So, yeah, that's the post-game video, I guess. I'm running out of footage here. I want to use some more of this gameplay for tomorrow, so I'll leave you off with this here. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about the Vancouver Canucks losing to the Washington Capitals 2-1. After two goals that come in a span of about a minute-ish, and the only Canucks goal being scored a minute-ish into the game. Vancouver got nothing done. Casey DeSmith, you could debate he wasn't the best, but I mean, he did make a few other saves, so I guess it balances itself out. Big ups to Charlie Lindgren, though, for doing what he needed to do to stop Vancouver and the endless amount of offensive cycling and no shots that they ended up executing in this game. Thoughts in the comment section below about the Canucks losing to the Washington Capitals. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.